Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are on a fantastic day from wherever you are around the world. And welcome back to another Liverpool news video for you guys today. I was going to say update then, but it is kind of an update day for you guys anyway. Of course, we'll have the Manchester United preview tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Anyway, of course, we'll hopefully have words from Jurgen Klopp in tomorrow morning's press conference, which should be around 10:30 tomorrow morning anyway. And of course, we'll have some more news about other players as well. But of course, let me quickly do something a minute, guys, because I have completely forgotten to do it because I am a fool and an idiot. But yeah, hopefully all of you are having a fantastic day from wherever you are around the world. If you are new around here, like I did say, then please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button as well. It'd be very much appreciated. And just let me know, guys, your thoughts on what we're going to be talking about today. Of course, we're going to be talking about Naby Keita and that whole situation at the moment. And of course, we'll have different bits and pieces on the news, of course, concerning Naby Keita and the contract situation at the present moment in time. And of course, we'll also be speaking about Roberto Firmino and he's back in training for the Reds as well. Anyway, but guys, let me know how all of you are in the comment section down below, and we will just dive straight into the news for tonight. It's not going to be a very long episode tonight, guys. It's going to be about half an hour stream tonight. Of course, the big one's going to be tomorrow. We're hopefully going to go live about an hour tomorrow for the Manchester United preview for you guys anyway as well. But we will get straight into the news then, and that is the news about Mr. Naby Keita. Of course, if you guys are living under a rock, of course, last night the news did break out, of course, due to this tweet from Florian Plittenberg. Apologies if I've absolutely butchered that anyway. But he does go on to say, exclusive news, Naby Keita, he is unhappy with his current situation in Liverpool. There were talks about a contract extension, but they have stopped now. His departure is possible regardless of Thiago and Thiago and Oxlade-Chamberlain, but early stages talks will take place. And of course, the internet being the internet, everything went mental last night. It's like, oh well, we already need a midfielder, blah 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 blah. We need to sign a midfielder now. We need to go all after Jude Bellingham. Here now, everything. Or sell Naby now. Blah blah blah. And we did mention it on last night's show. We did have, of course, Doug and Jack on last night. They both are on the 1892 Reds podcast at the moment. And yeah, what I've just heard on there, Jesus Christ, I never want to hear it again. Ricky, if Ricky's watching on repeat as well. But on terms of Naby, then as Chris is in here as well, saying evening. Hello, Chris. Hopefully on a fantastic day, my friend. Anyway, but going back onto the news about Naby as well, and the biggest thing, as you can see there, Naby Keita has the full backing of Jurgen Klopp, according to Neil Jones as well, and that was the big problem that was being talked about last night. Supposedly, Naby had been offered a 3-year contract. That was the rumours and the whispers going around last night on social media. And supposedly he rejected that. Wasn't supposedly meant to be for money or due to money. It was supposedly meant to be in terms of game time. Naby was unhappy that he hasn't been, of course, on the the number one then, or a part of the main middle three for Liverpool Football Club anyway. But again, as Neil Jones, he's come out last night with an article, but as you can see there, from the Anfield Talks, well, also quoting what Neil Jones said. So when fully fit and at his best, Naby Keita is viewed as part of Liverpool's strongest 11, and that was according to Neil Jones as well from goal.com. And that's the interesting thing where we spoke about it last night, didn't we, chat about when Liverpool's main 11's out there, what is Liverpool's best midfield? For me personally, if you were to say what is Liverpool's best midfield when everyone's fit, it would be Fabinho, Thiago, and then it would be Harvey Elliott for me personally. Naby would also be a close, second or third. It would be, for me, it's Harvey Elliott, and then it's the choice then between Naby and Jordan Henderson on that side. And of course, if Naby is frustrated with that, if Naby, you look at that Manchester City game a couple of weeks ago. Well, I say a couple of weeks ago, towards the back end of last season in the semi-final of the FA Cup. That for me was one of his best games in a Liverpool shirt. And last season in particular was his best season in a Liverpool shirt. Only missed 6 games due to injury last season. I think that was just all in one bunch. Of course, when he, I think, suffered that hamstring problem against Brighton, I think it was at the time, at Anfield. So you look at it like that. Of course, it was his best season like that. But if he's frustrated in terms of game time, I said it last night, and the lad said it as well, and you guys said it last night as well. For me, the big problem with Naby has been when you have the likes of Jordan Henderson being injured, or even now with Thiago being injured. Naby's never there to be called upon. You look at it on Monday night, Naby was an unused substitute against Crystal Palace. I think plenty of people have asked the question whether or not he will start against Manchester United on Monday. There's a potential there, of course, but again, for me, I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not Jordan Henderson will play in that game as well. Of course, we'll mention that towards the Bobby Firmino stuff as well. But it is interesting the fact that he is frustrated for game time. For me, I think he has to personally blame himself, and I think a lot of people would agree with that as well. Anyway, but of course, Neil Jones also mentioning the fact that the intention is to thrash out a new 4-year deal with Keita as well, and that's according to Neil Jones as well. And I was just listening to a little bit of a piece that he obviously does with the Redmond TV, of course, I think on Journalist Insight and that, and he was saying that Naby is one of Liverpool's most expensive signings. They want to keep him. Klopp, like we've mentioned it on previous slides as well. Views him as being a part of Liverpool's strongest 11, and has the full backing from Jurgen Klopp as well. So you look at it like that. I think, of course, Jurgen wants to keep him around supposedly as well. Doing a little bit more digging and research as well. Liverpool did reject approaches from Barcelona as back as last season as well for Naby Keita. So you can tell that clubs are wanting him, and of course, like I'll show you guys right now as well. This is from Everything Liverpool as well, but of course, it does source out what Fabrizio Romano has had to say about the Naby Keita situation, saying that Jurgen Klopp plans to speak with Naby Keita over the next few days to find a solution over his future, with only a huge offer changing the club's stance of keeping the midfielder this summer. So of course, Liverpool want to keep him 100%. I think that's been the plan. Now, of course, to keep Naby Keita, obviously a 4-year deal, is supposedly out there at the moment. But for me, this does scream like the Jordan Henderson situation. I think Jack mentioned it last night. I think Jack's actually in the chat as well. Yeah, he is here as well. Hello, Jack. But yeah, we mentioned it last night in terms of, it does massively scream, that something will get done now pretty quickly to get it done and dusted. And I think that's the interesting part where, you don't hear much of, unsettlement then from a Liverpool camp. You don't realistically. Mane, we all knew Sadio wanted to go when he wanted to go. And of course, Florian was the one that broke that news as well, that, he wanted to go and join Bayern Munich. And it was done, quietly, you would say. But this, saying that he's unhappy, saying that, he's unhappy at Liverpool, and he potentially wants to go next season, and so on. And of course, something huge would have to come in for Liverpool to sell him this season as well. But it just goes to show that something like, and look, of course, Florian Piltenberg, is it? Apologies if I butchered that anyway. But he's, of course, reliable in terms of Sky Germany. I think Neil Jones also mentioned, if, of course, doesn't know if it's truthful. You don't know. Someone might have heard a different story, and so on. But as far as we know, Naby, in terms of Liverpool journalists, Naby supposedly is meant to be happy at the moment, and they're just discussing contract terms. Now, supposedly, the rejection of a contract is true. Supposedly, if you believe different journalists, but of course, we've seen it with Mo Salah, and we've seen it with Mo's agent. Or was it the first contract's going to get rejected if Liverpool want to give him a 4-year deal? I think Naby's currently on, I think, 150, 160,000 pound per week. It's most likely going to go up as well, only by a little bit, I would think. Does it deserve to go up? People would say no, as well. But again, it's all those fine details and what does he want? And supposedly money, like we did say, is not the problem. Supposedly it's meant to be game time, and as well, I think we had this with Loris Karius as well, and I did think a little bit about this last night as well, chat, and let me know your guys' thoughts about this. So you guys remember back, when we signed Alison Becker, and of course, supposedly Karius got upset with Liverpool that they didn't tell him that we were going after a new goalkeeper at the time, and so on. And of course, everyone has heard about the Liverpool rumours about wanting a new midfielder, and so on. And I'm wondering if that's the case. I'm wondering whether or not if Naby is unsettled with the fact that everyone's talking about a new midfielder and he isn't, and people going, oh, well, Naby's not the solution, this, that, and the other. I don't think that's coming from Klopp at all. I don't think that's coming from within the club itself. Of course, it's from outside aspect of things, but players, social media, players read, what is said on social media at times. So you don't know whether or not if Naby is, oh, well, they look to bring in a couple of players, but even this season, next season, I'm going to be, where I am right now. It doesn't look like I'm going to be, the first name on that team sheet, and maybe he is thinking something like that. We don't know. But again, if will Naby have a better opportunity elsewhere at the top level? No, he won't. And we all know he won't neither. So whether or not that will change, of course, and again, with him having 1 year left on his deal and next year being on a free, it does leave Liverpool in a very dangerous position. As I mentioned last night, Liverpool could end up wanting, 4 midfielders next summer. If we're already talking about, a new midfielder this summer, that's without letting go of the likes of Naby on a free, Millie on a free, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain on a free as well. You're then talking about 3 or 4 midfielders that Liverpool would have to bring back in then for next season. And of course, that's going to cost. One of them being, of course, Jude Bellingham, which, of course, reports last night was going mental about Jude Bellingham, about him, being the favourite to join Liverpool and so on and so forth. But again, we all know the news about Jude Bellingham. And to be honest, though, nothing new came up about it last night. I've seen a couple of people on Twitter mentioning 1 or 2 things. But let me know, guys, your thoughts about Naby as well, and your overall thoughts about the Naby Keita situation as well. But yeah, the main news is Liverpool are planning to talk with Naby Keita. Like I did say in the title, Liverpool are planning to talk with Naby Keita over the next couple of days, weeks, about, of course, the new contract as well. But let's get into the chat then as well. John is in saying, big up Connor, you mate, you cheating bastard. Hello, John. Hopefully having a fantastic day, my friend. Evening, lads, as well. Hello, Zane, as well. Data's instinct, bet you're happy Naby might be staying. Absolutely. No, I get, look, for me, I seen something last night where they were like, oh, offer Naby and offer about 60 million and get Jude Bellingham in. I want Jude Bellingham in at Liverpool. I really want Jude Bellingham in at Liverpool. Again, we've spoken about it plenty of times. The number one dream for Liverpool next season is to sign one of these two. It is plain and simple. It's to sign one of them two for next season. This season, yeah, I'd love it to happen. Is it going to happen? No, it's not. But that's the ideal thing. Sign one of them two for next summer. Of course, the number one for me being Jude Bellingham. I'd love to see him in a Jurgen Klopp system as well. But smash the likes, chat as well. Of course, Anfield Road TV. Head over there. I'm going to be on there more often now as well. Jack still hasn't paid me. He still hasn't given me the contract like we were talking about last night. But I have not seen the pre-agreed contract yet. So, Jack, we're playing at. But yeah, head over to Anfield Road TV anyway. Talio Old Bean as well says, Gary, like and subscribe, Brett, as well. Yeah, if you could, be very much appreciated. As always, and share out the stream as well, guys. Tag us in us. Tag us in it. There we go. Finally got it out on Twitter and so on as well. You can't blame anyone for injuries. It's just something unfortunate. Yeah, no, it is absolutely Zane. But I think, if you're talking about, if we're talking about game time, and there'll always be opportunities for people to get into Liverpool's midfield at the current state that it's in. and the terms of injuries, and we've got Fabinho. Fabinho for me is the one that doesn't get injured too often. He'll get injured, but it'll be one minimum stint of injury, and then he'll be back then for the season, and so on. If you look at between Thiago and Jordan Henderson, in that factor of things, so there's always going to be opportunities on the left and the right of the three, for anyone. And again, you have to be there. This is how we've spoken about centre halves over on the channel for the last couple of weeks, and about like who's going to be Virgil van Dijk's main partner for this season. Now, obviously on Monday, it's most likely Joe Gomez is going to be the centre half alongside Virgil van Dijk. But you look at it where now that's become an opportunity for Joe Gomez, a little bit in regaining his place. I think people to forget we won the title with the partnership of Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk, not Joel Matip. Matip come in later when the league was pretty much done, and as well with Ibu as well. When Matip got injured last season, Ibu come in, did his job, and me included wanted Ibu to start the season. And again, that's the same with the midfield. If Henderson's injured, Harvey Elliott can come in, gain his opportunity. Klopp then gain faith in Harvey Elliott, which he already has. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm trying to get at, as well, chat. Anyway, Liverpool need a goal scoring midfielder, Connor, as well, from Gary. Jude Bellingham. No, I understand that, but again, I think it does depend on whether or not Liverpool change formation, because I've seen plenty of people mention, last night in particular, people mentioning, James Maddison, Tielemans as well. For me, Maddison, perfect number 10. Don't get me wrong, he is a really, really good number 10. As an 8, though, it's a no. And the same as Tielemans as well. Tielemans is lazy. Don't want Tielemans at the club. To be honest with you, sell Naby as well, says Gary, as well. But just to do a quick recap then, of course, on Naby Keita, and everything that's come out so far. Of course, Florian Plittenberg, apologies again if I butchered that. Plittenberg, I think that's how you pronounce it. Of course, bringing the news that Naby was unhappy. Of course, contract extension talks had stopped, and of course, his departure, wouldn't depend on Thiago or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, as well. But again, we're at the early stages of proceedings at the moment, of course. And then Neil Jones last night coming out, with a few things saying that Naby has the full backing of Jurgen Klopp, as well. Also saying that when fully fit, at his best, Naby Keita is viewed as part of the Liverpool strongest 11, as well. And of course, he did also go on to say that the intention is to thrash out a new 4-year deal with Keita as well. And of course, Fabrizio Romano having his talk about it as well, saying Jurgen Klopp plans to speak with Naby Keita over the next few days to find a solution over his future, with only a huge offer changing the club's stance of keeping the midfielder this summer as well. So again, only a huge offer would take Naby away from Liverpool for this summer anyway. But guys, let me know your thoughts in particular as well. Let me know about, and if you're watching on the repeat as well, let me know, your thoughts on the 4-year contract as well that supposedly is meant to be going towards Naby Keita's way. Of course, we did mention a 3-year deal had got rejected by Naby's camp, and of course now Liverpool are hoping to push a 4th year as well, with probably some commitments in that as well. With money not being the problem, supposedly it's game time at the moment. So according to, of course, the rumours and the whispers as well. But Barella and Bellingham, says Gary as well. Again, for me, like I did say, one of these two would be the ultimate dream for Liverpool next summer. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on that, and let me know, your overall opinions on the Naby Keita situation. But let's get on then to, of course, team news then for Liverpool, well, Manchester United versus Liverpool, of course, and this man in particular, of course. Liverpool have been left without any strikers, of course, because Diogo Jota is currently out injured. Of course, Darwin Núñez being a numpty against Crystal Palace and getting sent off, which meant that we had no strikers at the club, of course, with Bobby also potentially being out and everyone threatening about whether or not Bobby Firmino would be back in time to face Manchester United. Well, we can comfortably say that Bobby Firmino is back in training. Of course, he was in first team training, no light training or anything as well for Roberto Firmino. Of course, him alongside Luis Diaz, well, looking very concentrated as well. Probably Jurgen having a go at him for what happened against Crystal Palace anyway. But yes, Bobby Firmino is back for Liverpool and, of course, is expected to start against Manchester United on Monday evening anyway. Of course, plenty of rumours, of course, was brought out. Maybe Fabio Carvalho would play in the false nine, Luis Diaz would move more inwards, and of course Fabio Carvalho would go out on the wing, and so on. But it does look like that Roberto Firmino will be back in time and fit and ready for Manchester United as well. And again, I've seen plenty of people, I think this morning as well, a lot of people were mentioning about Virgil van Dijk being injured. And of course, my heart sunk as soon as I heard the news about Virgil van Dijk potentially being out injured as well. And I think a lot of you guys as well was on Twitter when I saw it as well. It was horrible. The first couple of minutes, but then once finding of course the correct information as well, as we did put out on Twitter anyway. If you're not following us on Twitter, then please head over and follow us on Twitter as well. But we did say that Virgil van Dijk and Bobby Firmino both took part in training today as well, which again, look, fantastic news as well. And more importantly as well, it does look like that Liverpool have no fresh injury concerns as well. But, and it is a big but, Jordan Henderson. Of course, plenty of people realised he wasn't in the photos for training, but then I think about an hour later, he was then out in the proper photos and so on as well. But he did supposedly took part in light training along with Joel Matip as well. Joel Matip was out on the football field today as well, in light training. So, Jordan Henderson being out, well, or being light training anyway in light work, is that concerning for the Manchester United game? Of course it is. Again, was only fit enough to be on the bench against Manchester United, against Crystal Palace, apologies. But again, for me personally, and of course we'll speak about this more in tomorrow's, preview for, of course, the Manchester United game. But, and chat, let me know as well your thoughts in the comments down below. But what is the midfield three for everyone on Monday? Now, for me personally, and there is a bit of a spoilers for tomorrow, Jordan Henderson wouldn't be in my midfield three for Manchester United. And I might be a bit mad saying that, but he's not in my midfield three. Personally, I think he will be brought on. And I think a lot of people will have different thoughts and different opinions, of course. And I think the big question is, does he play? Well, if Endo is fit, does he play in the six or does he play in an eight? Obviously, I think a lot of people would like to see him in the six instead of Fabinho. I think Fabinho, of course, has had a slow start to the season. But again, for me, I think it does really depend on what you want then realistically. And of course, if people remember last year's middle three against Manchester United, of course, we started the game with Jordan Henderson in the six, James Milner on the left, and Naby Keita on the right. So, could we see that again on Monday? Who knows, personally. But Bobby has got to clear up as well. So I'm Gary, Keita, Stefan, and Elliot as well, says Gary as well. But it will be interesting, guys, as well, in terms of, where Henderson will play. For me, I don't think he starts against Manchester United. I won't personally give my three that we say tomorrow in tomorrow's starting 11 prediction. But for me, Jordan Henderson doesn't play. He comes on off the bench for me personally. Anyway, but the best news is anyway that Roberto Firmino is all good and all okay, and he is in training as well. Like we did say, no fresh injury news or concerns anyway, between anyone at the moment. Of course, Jurgen did say last week that he thought there was a witch at the training camp last week. As well, because there were so many injuries last week. But again, no fresh injury news, just apart from Jordan Henderson and Joel Matip taking part in light training. But of course, Joel Matip coming back from injury as well. And of course, we have had some news about Diogo Jota as well. Early rumours suggesting that he could be back for the Merseyside derby. So of course, we'll hopefully have Darwin Núñez back from, of course, suspension. He did train today. There was photos of Darwin Núñez as well. Of course, I think he did put something out on Twitter and Instagram and so on, saying preparing for the comeback. And I'm like, lad, just get off Twitter. Get off Twitter. Like, get off the pitch. Get off the pitch. Get off Twitter. And so on. But again, Jota hopefully will be back for the Merseyside derby, which I think is great news as well, especially having two hamstring injuries, of course, recurring injury as well. You have to take your time as well. And I think Jota will be back next week as well, or at the end of this week. I think he'll be back at the start of next week, though, to be fair, in light training as well. So that's fantastic news as well. Anyway, but big news as well, the fact that Bobby's all good and so on, and will most likely start against Manchester United. That's the best news that we all could have got tonight anyway, to be fair. But yeah, guys, that's it for tonight. Like I did say, apologies, it's not going to be a long stream. It's only going to be half an hour long tonight. Of course, tomorrow we will have the Manchester United preview for you guys as well. Hopefully we'll have a couple of people on as well, and try and get opposition preview as well over the weekend as well. Fingers crossed that we can do that. Anyway, but of course, if you guys missed the news, then please head back on the video. Of course, we've spoken about Naby Keita, we've spoken about Bobby Firmino and the squad as well. But everyone at the moment is good as well as far as we know. Anyway, but of course, something could happen from now until Monday. Fingers crossed it doesn't. As well. And if you guys haven't seen anyway, as I'm just quickly looking on Twitter, supposedly Manchester United have bid 80 million euros for Antony, which, Jesus Christ, wow, that's amazing. They're truly throwing all the crap at the wall now, aren't they? Jesus Christ, that's terrible. Anyway, but guys, big thank you to each and every single one of you for tuning in to tonight's show. Anyway, if you're watching on repeat as well, then big thank you to all of you for tuning in. I do very much appreciate each and every single one of you, and hopefully I will see you all tomorrow with the preview for Manchester United. Of course, the biggest game in England. It still is. It's the biggest. It's the one you always look at, isn't it, chat? About where is Manchester United on the calendar, and of course it's amazing to play the Manx early and hopefully batter the Manx at Old Trafford once again. Anyway, but guys, I've been Connor from the Cop Council. Hopefully see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock for the Manchester United preview. And yeah, if you've missed all the news, then please watch the video back, leave a like, leave a subscribe, hit that notification bell to remind yourself when we go live or post a video, and hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow. Tra.